Today you are diving into various samurai weapons of various lengths, and how one technique they all share in common. Let's explore this little discovery that it may have been overlooked by most Budo practitioners. Remember my video on the Teneoji with the Shoto? I emphasize on each arm and their functions. Power comes from the left arm and guidance comes from the right arm. But what if I ask the question, can a sword technique be translated over to other things? My answer is a big yes. A quick disclaimer, techniques may vary from each Ryuha, and this is just my theory on how they may share similar techniques when translating. I am not formally trained in any of the other weapons other than the sword, so this is just all speculation through observations. Let's start from the fan favorite, two-handed katana. Techniques are led by both arms to direct its cut. Due to the length of the handle, the sword grip often stays relatively unchanged throughout. But occasionally, a half-swording, a hematerm, technique may be used to add support and versatility. Sword grip mostly stays the same. This half-swording technique essentially gives additional attributes to the sword. It supports the blade when blocking, and it gives better leverage when parrying or when grappling is necessary, acting as a pivot point for the sword to go any angles. As for wakizashis, the handles are much shorter and used as a single-handed weapon. In terms of cutting techniques, it shares relatively the same with its two-handed counterpart. It provides a free hand, which opens up grappling opportunities at short range. Reverse grip also seems more feasible with its appropriate length for close encounters. Quarter grappling.
Hey everyone.
Is a fellow Budoka's channel that does cutting vlogs, reviews, tutorials, and do it yourself. Specialty in
Take the opportunity to counter with the damage Dark requires you to do a skipping step forward, and the Yongyak Ojanse also requires
check his channel out and show our support.
And with that, I'll see you next time.
Description. Imagine this is a tanto, and that's why all swords attributes are out. Its versatility is mostly limited to thrusting and shallow cuts at very close quarters. It's good for concealment, which in turn shares a more similar technique with hidden weapons. Here's a quick teaser. Stick around till the end of the video to see the rest. Jo is a very versatile weapon where any techniques of a sword can do, the Jo can do too. It is essentially one big handle with the similar length to the katana. Notice the wide gap between the front and the rear arms. Because you can grip anywhere with the Jo, it adds a new dimension to your stances, including reverse grips. Allowing more versatility to your angle of attacks. Unlike the sword, you won't accidentally cross and lock your arms when being wrestled. Transitioning from one stance to another is also seamless. There's a saying for the Jo: it cuts like a sword, thrusts like a spear, and sweeps like a Naginata. The versatility of the Jo is almost limitless. Each transition is a different weapon. This is how a Jo kata can be translated over to the sword. Small adjustments were made to accommodate the pros and cons of each weapon. Sarah is a fellow Budoka's channel on Chinese and Japanese swordsmanship. Her channel focuses on free flows, progress vlogs, and concept sharing. Do check her channel out and show her support. Link is also in the description. To recap, the Jo is versatile in switching sides and stances, changing grips seamlessly, switching from a sword, a spear, and a naginata. A humble all-rounder weapon that functions more than just combat purposes. Next, let's imagine this as a long battlefield spear. Because it's so long, some spears have a ring to allow the lead hand to grip a slider, and the rear hand to manipulate the spear's length and the distance to the enemy. Techniques change into purely doing thrusting and parrying techniques, with very little sweeping and stance changing. Directions and rear hand manipulates the weapon's length. Here's another look with the Yari versus a spear. Next up, let's pretend this is a Naginata. Generally, Naginata design is a long staff with a short sword-sized blade at the top. It can cut like a katana with the versatility and reach of a long staff. With a heavier top, it encourages sweeping motions to maximize cutting power. A Jo user can easily translate their sweeping and stance changes over to the Naginata, opening new targets such as the knee and shin cuts from a distance. Perhaps this is why it looks so graceful and deadly on the Onabo geishas. recap, the Naginata shares similar versatilities as the Jo. It allows for seamless grip changes to use as a sword, staff, and spears. An all-rounder weapon that favors sweeping techniques. And also able to adapt from long range to close range encounters. Now let's pretend this is a Nagamaki. To me, this weapon is a bit of an interesting anomaly. It's a hybrid between a Naginata and a sword, but with a handle as long as the Katana's blade. With a long weapon, you would expect a similar technology like the Jo or Naginata. However, it seems to favor large katana cutting slashes instead. Let's look at how the professional uses it. Movements and stances are katana-centric. It's a very peculiar right arm stretched out. Based on the two videos, Nagamaki could be used on big targets like war horses. Big deep cuts that ends with that peculiar cross arm stance. Nagashi-esque technique used to parry enemy attacks on horsebacks and incapacitate their ride. It makes sense when you consider bigger impact resistance require bigger blade. Of course, it's all my speculation. If you know more, do share your thoughts in the comments. The samurai have utilized their sword techniques over to an unassuming bow shuriken. They hold the shuriken in Jodan, or Haso no Kamae, and just like the sword, they cut forward towards the target, much like our sword's downward cuts. To me, this is the most accurate translation from a sword technique over to others. Throws like a sword, cuts like a sword. Fascinating, isn't it? That's why you hear in Iaido that your cut needs to feel like you are throwing your sword. And speaking of sword throwing, now do you see how fascinating Budo weaponries are? The most basic sword cut technique can be seen in many other weapons. Some little rubber shuriken for fun. Don't forget to show some love to our fellow Budokas too. They also spend time and effort to share their knowledge in YouTube. Hope this has been educational and entertaining. Please like and subscribe and give that bell a ding if you haven't already. Come check out my other cool videos. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.